Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome back to the Daily Video Darren. How's it going today? Today we have been at work and I've come back and I've got dressed and I've conceded. I've conceded to the fact that it's winter. And I'm wearing a long sleeve t-shirt for the first time since summer because it's a bit warmer, basically. It's official, guys. Summer's over. Deal with it. Get in. Get excited for the fun times. It's going to be winter again. I love me some winter. So, what's been going on today? Today, I was back at work and I was like furiously programming away. Well, not programming away. Furiously diving through merge requests. Well, mergers. To figure out which mergers have already been done. And then I was going through mergers that actually needed merging, which was interesting. That's all I've been doing today. It's been quite boring and quite repetitive. And it's really weird, right? Okay, so we have different branches, code branches, right, which is normal. Everyone obviously has different code branches. But what's happened is we have a load of different branches and then we let different customers have those branches. So we have like a branch for this customer, a branch for this customer, a branch for this customer, and then we have the master branch. So at some point in 2014, some features were added to a branch, but weren't merged to the master branch. And obviously, since then, things have been added to this branch, things have been added to this branch, and now we need to go back in. It's quite difficult to merge something when that area's been touched, which it likely has been in 2 years. So the master branch kind of like needs to have all of this new code, but it also needs to not regress. It needs to not break in any way. And it's really complicated stuff. And it seems so strange that we'd give a customer something that isn't the master branch. So that's what I've been dealing with today. It's been great fun. Come home. Also, as well, actually, I got on Monday I was at work and I kept bumping into this guy. Like literally, we walked in the office together. Every time I went to the toilet, he'd be coming out the toilet, or vice versa. The next day, same thing happened. So now every morning when I see him in the car park, I'll wave as we go past. It makes me laugh so much. I just wave to him, and then that's it. Basically, I waved to him today, but I haven't seen him since. But that's my story. I know it's cool. What else? What else? So yeah, I've come back. Laura's not going to be back until late tonight. She's at some kind of seminar thing. She's not going to be back. It doesn't finish until 7:30. It might finish till 8. So I have an hour and a half to sit and work on stuff. I've been discussing, trying to figure out how I'm going to be doing compilation in my code. Oh gosh, hiccup, sorry. Because it's changed a little bit. Now I've moved my entire platform to .NET Core. I'm obviously working on a subset of the .NET framework. Not all of the .NET framework has been made over into .NET Core yet, although there is work in it in certain areas. One of the areas that's missing is MS Build. So MS Build is something that's used to compile C# projects. And there are some APIs that work around it. There's like Microsoft.build framework, which allows you to basically just like ping. You just go, build manager, build me this. Essentially, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But build me this, and then it gives me a result, and I go, okay, cool, pass that result into something I understand, boom, done. That doesn't exist in .NET Core. There is currently work on GitHub to get it working. It's being merged. There's like a milestone for it. It's being merged in now, but there's like lots of stuff it still needs work on and things. I don't know. I'm trying to understand it today. I spent my lunch today reading up on this rather than reading up on this how to compile stuff. So this is how I know this information, rather than programming. So basically, I can't do this yet. I can't do MS Build the way I previously have been doing. So, my plan of attack, I'm thinking I could either do MS Build and drop off to the command line. Obviously I've got it on a command line, so I can just call it directly, like that. Which is how I'm doing the test runner currently in the old system, which obviously has its issues because it makes it more difficult to kill if I've got running processes, especially if the compiler spins up lots of processes and then gets killed halfway through. What happens? It becomes a little bit more of a bitch than to manage rather than having a nice maintainable API, do I wait for the API or do I try something else? So I've been exploring all of these possibilities. I believe that the best plan of attack is to wait for it. Wait for the API to come out. There's no need to rush into MS Build. There's no need to rush into building a not very good MS Build because it's not ready yet. I may as well just wait for it to be ready. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in another compiler on top. My system has been designed so that it can basically support X number of compilers, X number of anything, essentially. So whatever happens, you can add a new one on. Do you want to support Java? Here's a Java compiler. It will do it. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to attempt to use a different one, and I'm going to attempt to use Roslyn. Back when I was using Roslyn wasn't very good at compiling code. It was very much like parsing it only style stuff. But now it's officially compiling shit. So, I mean, it was compiling shit when I looked at it, but it wasn't reliable, and I needed it to be reliable, so I used MS Build instead, even though I use Roslyn in other areas. So I'm going to attempt to use Roslyn and the .NET compilers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to boot up my laptop, and I'm going to use the MS Build compiler that I've developed, gut it, well, it's empty at the moment, and then I'm just going to try and like hard code it, just get it working, get a proof of concept. As soon as I've got it working, I can then go back through the system and then like add the ability to select it, basically. And then my platform will be able to support Roslyn and MS Build, which is going to be good. I think the only problem with using Roslyn might come down to the fact that it will support .NET Core, but it might not fully support .NET Framework, because the places where I've seen it being used is obviously on Mac and on Linux and stuff. They use Roslyn to compile code instead of MS Build for obvious reasons. I don't know if that's obvious reasons. I'm not sure if there is actually a Linux and a MS Build underneath it, but which means it might not work with things that rely on the .NET framework, like the full .NET framework, yet. So I'm going to try and do it, and maybe it's something that I can pull in for the .NET Core stuff only. So that's my plan of attack. I'm going to do that while I wait for Laura to come home. So, well, message me to say that she's coming home, and then, dependent, I can go and pick her up. But yeah, so in theory, I'm going to do all my programming now, so I might not have to stay up late tonight. Depends. But I'm proof of concept in, so I might not get very far. There's something else I was going to say. Can't remember. Oh, I've also just uploaded yesterday's video here, which I should change the thumbnail of because that's a shitty thumbnail. And it goes live, a video for the 12th, so day 1900 as well, ironically, is going up on the 18th. Technically means that that video is 5 days behind schedule, because in theory that should be uploaded on the 13th. I'm catching up, ladies and gentlemen, ever so slowly I'm catching up. We will get there. Right, let's get on with it. That's what I was going to tell you. I was going in there for a drink though as well. Get a bit scatty, need to concentrate. One last thing, I was talking to someone else today. So, some kids looking at the pond. Well, I say kids, I mean like a 2-year-old kid being held up on his like dad's shoulder. I assume it's dad. Could be anyone. But anyway, talking to someone because he messaged me with a testing question, and then like said that he was talking about testing with someone, and my name came up because apparently I'm the testing guy now, which is cool. I'm okay with that. But anyway, I was talking to him about like these like branching problems that we have at work, and it's like a significant problem because people will do a feature, like add a new feature in, and then pick up a new feature before merging it back into the main branch. And then it just gets stuck on this other branch. Oh, it's crazy, crazy times. This was like back in the SVN days. So hopefully moving to Git stops that. But, or at least makes it more obvious, but fucking hell. There are some shocking things. Like processes that you would imagine, like really bad habits that have allowed to propagate through the company and like how the company does stuff. It's quite strange, it really is. It's eye-opening to say the least. Because obviously the more people you get like the more you start doing something wrong, the more you do that wrong, and you never really know that you're doing it wrong. So, right, let's work. Set my timer so I'm logging this time to my project. Starting to think I'd left my glasses at work there, but they're not. They were here, there in the darkness. Oh man, I just spent like 2 hours trying to figure out what's going to go on. When it's problematic because things build .NET Core, but .NET Core doesn't wrap around those things and then calls them. So I feel like I'm going to have to make this API. Well, not an API, I don't have to make an API, but I have to make a way of wrapping around the command line. And arguably, by wrapping around the command line, I've just lost the entire point of making it .NET Core, because I've essentially said, oh yeah, here's a prerequisite. I dabbled slightly into the world of getting, spinning up a Docker container that might be able to do it, or might give me a better interface around doing so, rather than essentially capturing out the command line outputs and then doing it that way. This is a bit of a fuck up. Like Roslyn can compile code, but it compiles code. I have to give it the files to compile. There's no real way of giving it a project file or a solution file at the very least. So essentially I'd have to parse the solution file, figure out what all of the code files are that I want to compile, which isn't too much hassle because there are parts of the code that do that in a way. Well, parts of the code that find out that kind of information. I then go through and figure out... load every single one of them into Roslyn's memory, compile them in memory. Like, everything's done in memory, and it's just going to be really fucking slow. It's going to be really slow, and it's going to be really arduous. So I'm at an impasse. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether it's better to do one thing or another thing. I don't know whether it's better to wait for MS Build to be dragged over, assuming it gets dragged over. I mean, it's really difficult to search for, because obviously .NET Core is quite new. So whenever I read stuff, it's about like compiling .NET Core, not getting .NET Core to compile stuff. Or it's about getting .NET Core to run in a Docker container, not getting Docker containers, not getting .NET Core to run Docker containers. And it's like always the wrong way around. I can't find any properly developed frameworks around like NuGet packages that wrap around MS Build and can be invoked from a .NET Core app. So my plans are essentially to wait for one of those things, build one myself, wrap around it on the command line, i.e. that's what that one means, or flip it to not .NET Core for this instance. I could have like a subcategory of my compilation strand that drops out into an instance that isn't .NET Core. That feels really fucking dirty. That just feels like filthy to do. And therefore I don't think I want to do it. So it's like 8:20, haven't eaten yet. Laura's not back yet, either. and we're gonna get a takeaway. I'm not eating, I'm not cooking now. Fuck that. I'm not cooking at 8:20. And that's like, if Laura gets on a bus now and comes back, we'll be eating at 9. No, I'm not cooking for 9. So, we're gonna go get a fucking fish and chips, that's what we're gonna do. In my wallet. I need to make my sandwiches at some point as well. I might as well do that now. I've stopped the timer, I've stopped working on this now. Because I need to deliberate plans. Yummy. Long gone now. Went to go pick it up at like 9:05. Came back, scoffed it, watched an episode of Peaky Blinders, watched The Apprentice, and I am now heading to bed. I'm all zapped out, programming wise. Fluff from my own dressing gown nearly went in my mouth there. Graham has been chewing my dressing gown like no man's business. I keep telling her off. She's just not having it. She's not listening to me. Goddamn. But yeah, so we're now heading to bed because it's late. Well, it actually is late. Valora, it's well late. It's like, fucking hell, how is she still awake? That reminds me as well, my watch is wrong. The date's wrong. I'm gonna have to sleep on my options and figure out what I'm gonna do. More investigation required. And I've done like about 3.5 hours worth of investigation today. I can't do any more. Time to go to bed. I'll catch you later, ladies and gentlemen.